Being that The Dark Knight Rises is coming out soon and everybody's in Batman mode again, I thought I'd just check out a few old games related to the Caped Crusader, just for the hell of it. To start off, let's look at Batman the Animated Series on Game Boy. Like most Konami games of the era, the graphics and the music are great. It's nice to have a Batman game for the Game Boy that's actually worth playing, because the first one, the one that's just titled Batman, was just a bland waste of time. The graphics for that game were just pathetic. I mean, they even sucked back then. And since when does Batman go around shooting people with a gun? It's a shining example of a bad movie to game adaptation. But for Batman the Animated Series, the controls are impressive for a Game Boy game. Just the fact that they let you wall jump is a surprising addition for a Game Boy title. Batman the Animated Series is so impressive for a Game Boy game, I would bet that it was probably maxing out the system's potential capacity. The first boss you get to is the Joker. He appears in different corners of the room and you have to attack him quickly before he rains down exploding teddy bear bombs in your face. It's a tough fight and it'll have you sweating. On the second stage, Batman has to fight Mr. Freeze, but then you encounter the Scarecrow. So now Robin comes in to tackle the Scarecrow while Batman deals with Mr. Freeze. I wouldn't have minded playing as Robin, but I wasn't used to his controls yet and I got instantly killed. And this is where I found out that you only get 3 lives, and then it's game over. I can't help but feel if they would have just let me continue on as Batman, I would have been able to beat the stage. But no, they had to stick me with Robin, and now I have to start the whole game over. So while this is a really great game, it does have some problems. The fact that you only get 3 lives and there's no extra lives to be found really sucks. There's no save feature, and there's not even a password system, for the love of God. These problems drag down what could have been a near-perfect Game Boy game. That said, though, it is still a hell of a lot better than that regular old Batman game, but with no saves or passwords to work with, it is merciless. The fact that you're gonna have to go through and master each of the stages gives it a really high replayability factor. You're also gonna have to learn to use stealth, because patience is key with this. All I can say is, good luck, because this game is hard as hell. Here we have Batman Returns for the Sega Master System. Look at what somebody did to the front of the box. They put the price tag right over Batman's face, totally ruining the cover. Whoever did that is a fucking asshole. Anyway, I haven't seen a lot of people talk about this game, so let's take a look. Here, Batman has no energy bar, so it's one hit and you're dead. Which means you have to be extremely cautious as you walk around. That's fine though, that's just the way the game works. Button 1, Batman will use his Batarang, and Button 2 uses the Bat Rope to swing on ledges. The Bat Rope takes a lot of getting used to though. You have to adjust the length of the rope, and it often doesn't do what you want it to do. Learning to use the Bat Rope is essential because you use it to climb up to higher areas and collect bat symbols to get extra guys and move through the level. I know that the red bat symbol gives you an extra guy, but I never did figure out what the yellow and blue ones do, and I made it all the way to the last stage of the game. So I don't know, maybe they're just multicolored bat cookies for him to eat as a snack. So on the first screen you get to a bus at the end, I touched it and I died. There's nothing that indicates that it's gonna hurt you, so you just have to find out through trial and error, which is stupid. There should have been something to indicate danger. The first stage's boss is some fat drunken hobo. All you have to do is hit him when he takes a swig of beer, and that's it. He's really easy. The second stage is a mansion that you have to work your way through like a maze. Certain areas are quite difficult, like swinging above fiery pits, but it's doable as long as you start to get better at using that bat rope. The boss of the second stage is a short fight with Catwoman. You just throw your batarangs at her until she leaves. It's not a problem. When you make it to the end of the rooftop stage, you'll encounter the third boss, which is a giant rock monster that hurls stones at you. It's a harder fight than the first two because you have to dodge projectiles, but it's stage 4 where things start to get really difficult. Stage 4, the sewer. This is where picking routes really starts coming into play, because Route 1 is by far easier than trying to swing your way through Route 2. It's still hard, but at least it's possible. The second route is just for people who are gluttons for punishment. Alright, come on, gotta get over there. Come on. Oh, come on! They included the penguins that shoot the rockets from the actual movie, which was a nice touch. Though hitting the rockets they shoot with your Batarang can be a real bitch. I finally got to the end of stage 4 to fight Catwoman again, but this time she's a lot harder with all the projectiles to avoid. I eventually did beat her to make it to the final stage of the game. But, much to my disappointment, the last stage is just more of that sewer crap again. I got to a part where this guy shoots rockets at you as you try to swing across the gap, and I just couldn't do it. I also had no motivation to continue since the stage was just the same sewer setting again, and I was really tired of that by now. Overall though, this is a really good Batman game. It's actually one of the better games I've played on the Sega Master System, though it does get extremely challenging in the later stages. With lots of challenge and 2 different routes to take on each stage, there is certainly a lot of replay value with this one. Now let's look at Batman Chaos in Gotham City for the Game Boy Color. The first thing that you can see is that the graphics are piss poor. They're some of the most unappealing, pathetic graphics that I've seen in any game. All the controls are awful too. I noticed right away that there's no way to jump down from the ledges. You have to walk all the way around instead of just being able to jump down. It sucks. Batman has a variety of weapons to choose from, like the Batarang or the Bat Rope, but you have to be careful when using them. Let's say I use the Bat Rope to climb. That's fine, but then I have to fight an enemy, so I try to punch him, but Batman uses the rope again. The item will stay selected until you switch it off, and it's easy to forget to do that. So you'll end up getting hurt as you're hopelessly trying to attack. Then, when you are able to punch, Batman doesn't even have much of a reach anyway. What kind of crime fighter would Batman be if he just kept throwing his rope into the sky when some goon is firing bullets at him? The criminal would just burst into laughter if he saw some asshole jump down from a ledge, dressed in a bat costume, throwing rope into the air. It'd be like watching an escaped mental patient. Maybe that's Batman's new method, to kill his enemies by making them laugh themselves to death. Anyway, I'd love to see how bad all the levels are in the game, but unfortunately I couldn't even make it to the end of the first stage. You get to this part where you have to jump across all these small icebergs to reach the end, and near the end of this there's this large gap that you're supposed to jump, but I just couldn't do it. From what I've heard, you're supposed to be able to just jump across, but I kept dying over and over. I ran out of lives, so I had to restart all the way from the beginning, and I did this 3 times, starting from the very beginning of the game, and every time I got to this part, I just could not jump that gap. Maybe there's something I'm missing, but I don't think so. I think the controls just suck. And I feel like I'm wasting my time with a game that's clearly god-awful anyway. So you know what? Screw this.